Welcome to Witch Talks, the series for spiritual seekers, witches, and enlightened souls. I'm Hana the Suburban Witch, professional tarot reader, astrologer, and witch, and I hope you're ready to get up close and personal with your favourite witches. Hello, how are you today? I hope you are doing magnificently, and that even if you're not, hearing my voice brightens your day somehow. Today I am answering a listener question, and reminder, if you have a question, you can send them through to me. Simply send an email to info@suburbanwitchery.com for your chance to have your question answered via an episode. And don't stress, some people have like 20 questions and they just send me all of them, and that's fine. And then I just pick the ones that I think will have the biggest impact on people hearing the answer to. So let's jump right in to our Hana Help Me episode today. This question comes in from Chantel, who is a wonderful member in the Suburban Witches Society. And I will essentially be referring to her as Shantoodles from now on, because that is her Discord username in our group chat. I just love it. Shantoodles. It's my favorite thing ever. So Shantoodles has asked, do I have to feed or make offerings to spirits, gods, ancestors in order to have a relationship with them? I am interested in forming a relationship with familiar spirits or deities, but worry that my current season of life will prevent me from being consistent in servicing a relationship in this way. Well, Shantoodles, and anyone else who is asking this question, look, it's up to you, right? There are some things that we should do and some things that we shouldn't do when it comes to working with spirits. Personally, I believe what we should do should align with what we can do. And what we should do is be consistent in what we do. So for example, if you choose to feed or give offerings to your spirits, whichever type they are, and you want to make sure that their water is constantly topped up, like it never drops down, as an example, and then you go away on holiday, or you've got young kids and you forget, or you're sleep deprived, or you're sick, that's not a good look if you've been very, very consistent with it and then suddenly you're not. It's not the end of the world. And I believe that ancestors especially usually will understand. Most spirits will. So it's okay. But if you know what your current season of life is allowing you to give to this sort of a relationship, you wouldn't be doing it daily. You wouldn't be making sure you have that agreement of it's always topped up. Perhaps you have something that's a little looser. So for example, maybe every full moon. That's once a month. Once a month, give an offering. Maybe, that's 12 to 13 times per year that you'll be giving an offering. That's usually pretty doable. Can you do it on the full moon every time or within that full moon period? Maybe, probably, maybe not. I don't know what's going on for you. But that is a perfectly acceptable frequency to have with spirits. When it comes to deities in particular though, that's going to depend on them. Some will require more of a sacrifice from you, more consistency, more follow through, and some won't. So a lot of it will come down to who you choose to be in this relationship with and setting up those parameters early, keeping in mind you can always change them. So let's say you have it every full moon and suddenly things change and you can do it twice a month. These relationships are back and forth. You can talk with your spirits and say, hey, I reckon I can give you more offerings. Isn't that amazing? You're going to love me. Let's do this twice a month, right? Awesome. Cool. They're going to love it. I also want to chat about offerings as well, because sometimes an offering can be a prayer. Sometimes an offering can be a waft of smoke. It can be the first sip from your coffee in the morning. It can be a moment of silence. It can be feeding the birds. For me, one of my offerings for Thoth is I write. I will write, and that is an offering. I will let you know as well on this topic that spirits often let you know when they're not happy. They're pretty clear in this. I'm going to share a really interesting story. So with my work with Thoth as my deity, as I said, I often give writing as my offering. Now, there was one particular day where that was the intention set. Now, I don't set the intention that I'm going to do that every day because I know that's not possible for me in my current season of life. But usually if I know it's a day I'll be able to do that, I'll say, hey, Thoth, I'm going to do some writing for you today. Now, there was one day where I didn't get around to it and it got really late and I was like, oh, I don't have time. I thought I was going to get it done and I didn't. And I had promised it. And I thought, okay, I have promised you an offering, so I'm going to go and get you some gin or something instead, right? I just went to the liquor cabinet, grabbed something that I had, put it in a little shot glass and put it on my altar. The next morning, and I am not kidding you when I say the next morning, there was mold on top of the gin, like a full thick coating on top of that gin. This, to me, was a very, very, very clear sign that Thoth did not enjoy that swap over offering. That offering was not accepted. I have never in my life seen alcohol, like straight spirit alcohol, mold, let alone overnight. And it wasn't even like particularly hot or anything. The glass was clean, like it was very confusing and I could not find a mundane reason for it. So you bet your ass, I plonked myself in my chair and immediately gave an offering of writing. And Thoth is not getting gin again because that's not something that they like. Now my ancestors, I top up their water and I give them an offering of maybe a candle or some incense, just sort of every now and then. But sometimes I will look over at my ancestor altar and one of the picture frames falls forward. There's no reason for it to do that. It won't be like that at night. And I come in the morning and it's like that. And every single time that happens, I look and their water's empty. That's their way of letting me know, hey, water needs topping up. I don't have to do it daily. I don't have a set schedule. But if I do leave it a bit long, that's how they tell me. Now, when you start working with spirits and deities and ancestors and all of this, we always want rules. We want hard and fast parameters so we don't get it wrong. But trust me when I say you'll probably get it wrong anyway, and that's okay. Just like I did, right? I let the water dry out. I give gin instead of writing. Like, you will get things wrong and they will let you know. This is why it's a relationship. It's a back and forth. They're letting you know what they do and don't like, and you're letting them know what you can and can't do, and you find that middle ground. Also, for parents of young children where it is trickier to keep up this sort of consistency, include your children in it. When I was pregnant with my second child, and I didn't have a lot of energy, but my daughter at the time was like 3 and was bounding off the walls, I included her in the process of ancestral offerings. So when we went for a walk to get some of her energy out, she would pick a flower for the ancestors. She would find a feather for the ancestors. And gosh, she was adding them all the time, and it meant I didn't really have to do much, and they were totally happy with that. They're her ancestor as well. She's their descendant. Our ancestor altar is kind of more like a family thing, right? And kids love being involved in this stuff if you're open with them. I want to share this little personal story as well because it's beautiful. I recently got some prints of the Mythos tarot deck from Hana. They are absolutely stunning. That tarot deck is gorgeous. I have an amazing unboxing on my YouTube channel. Highly, highly recommend it. And the prints are to die for. So I had 4 of them in my room. There's one of Hermes, there's one of Nyx, there's one of Circe, and there was one of Asteria. Now, Toby, my youngest, is obsessed with these images. He's frankly obsessed with gods and goddesses in general. He's always talking about the sun goddess, the moon goddess. He's drawing pictures for them and leaving them outside completely. Like, I'm not telling him or showing him to do this. That's just his natural inclination to want to do that. And it's really sweet. But he saw these pictures in my room and he said, Mum, I need one. I want that one. I want Nyx in my room on top of my bed. I was like, okay, cool. You can't have all of them because they're mummies, but you can have one. So he has this beautiful depiction, this artwork of Nyx hanging above his bed now. And every single night, I'll go in and give him a kiss. Say, good night, Toby. And he's like, good night, Mum. Good night, Nyx. And it's become a ritual for him. And I think it's beautiful because that is almost like an offering. Nyx is the goddess of the night. And he's telling her good night every night. And she's above his bed. It's just the most beautiful relationship to just bloom like that. For anyone thinking I'm indoctrinating my kids into what I'm doing, I show them my spiritual practice and I tell them not everyone believes this. You don't have to believe this. Daddy kind of sometimes believes, but not all of the things, and that's okay. You get to choose. And they're experimenting, and if they change their minds later, that's okay. So we have a very open relationship. I teach them about other religions, other faiths, and of course about science as well. So back to your question, Shandoodles. Do I have to feed or make offerings to have a relationship with them? You don't have to. It is good to. And just do it on a consistent basis that feels good for your season of life. Whilst we're on the topic of offerings, another frequently asked question that I get given is, how long do you leave the offering for? And I like to think of it like when you have a friend over for dinner or a cup of tea. If I make my friend a cup of tea and they don't drink it, I don't touch it for like a while, until they're gone usually, or until everything else is getting cleared away. But you give them that full opportunity until it's like fully dead cold, and then it's gone. And you just dispose of it the way you would anything else. That's how I treat my spirit offerings. So if I give a tea or a coffee, I'll leave it there for an hour or two, maybe overnight at the most, and then I put it away. I don't want it spoiling. I don't want it going off. I don't want it growing mold or attracting ants or any of that sort of thing. Same deal with food. The most I would leave something is overnight. But you don't always have to give offerings of food and drink. Alcohol usually can stay a little bit longer. Water is constantly topped up when I can. But you can give offerings of smoke, as I said before. Cigarettes, that's a common spirit offering. Offerings of service, of doing things, saying things. You might find a pretty rock and you put it on that altar and it stays there for ages. Until one day it just doesn't fit anymore and you move it and put it back outside. These are all valid ways of doing things. My last tidbit is if you are working with a deity, I'm not starting that again. If you're working with gods and goddesses, to just research the ones that you are working with, because some will have different requirements. I cannot speak for all gods and goddesses. There's lots of different pantheons, lots of different temperaments. If you're going to choose a god like Odin, be prepared to sacrifice as a part of your offering. So it's not someone I would choose in a very busy, rearing young children stage of life. Before we finish up, there is another thing I would recommend that you do when we're talking about relationships with spirit. Utilize your divination practices in communicating with them. If you're not sure how to do this, tarot, oracle, all of those sorts of things are great. Pendulums, runes, anything that you already currently use can be used to communicate with deity or spirits. If you want to learn more about actual divination, I have a course for that, The Art of Psychic Divination. It's not open at the moment, but it will be in about 2 months' time, so please keep an eye out for that. But if you are familiar with the tarot in general, I have a class. It is free. It's called Tarot for Protection. And in that, there's a spread that I talk about as a way of checking in with your spiritual protections or with your spirits. And that's a really great one to utilize. And you can make your own variants from that as well. Now that class is free for anyone to access. I'll pop the link in the description box for this episode. It's Tarot for Protection. It's not a class that's put out there to sell something to you. It's a class, like a full-blown class by itself. I don't often offer them for free. But I do think this one's a really good one for lots of people to understand how to protect themselves and how to check in on their protections, utilizing such a wonderful tool like the tarot. And maybe if you enjoy that class, you might enjoy me and how I teach and take some of my other classes. Or join the Suburban Witches Society, just like Shantoodles, and pick your own fun nickname on our Discord chat. But there you have it. If you have your question, please submit it. I love reading your questions. I love doing these episodes. I'm so happy the podcast is out again and we're doing season 3. It's so much fun. Whilst the break is always great because I get a lot of time to do other things, it's so nice to be back with you. I love this. Don't forget to rate and review wherever you listen. I did get a 1-star review after saying genocide is bad. So if you can give me a 5-star to bring it back up, that would be wonderful, even though I do hold that 1-star review as a bit of a badge of honor. I hope you're having a wonderful day wherever you are in the world today, and I will chat with you next time. Have you been searching for a safe space to connect with other witches and grow and develop and learn together? The Suburban Witches Society will bring you knowledge and friendships that are spiritually aligned, plus a whole heap of fun. You will get access to our private community Facebook group and group chat, which that chat pops off. There are monthly group calls, you get a reading with me, you can do Q&A, and we all just chat and hang out together. It's like a slumber party. You are welcome to wear your pajamas. This is not like fancy influencer witches on a Zoom call. We are very real over here. You can take a peek at behind the scenes episodes of the podcast that are uncut and you get access to them before anybody else. There's a resources section where you get PDF downloads, you get access to classes that are not available to the public. Here is what one of our members, Brandy, has to say about her experience in the Suburban Witches Society. Signing up to the society has been the best present to myself. My witchy knowledge has exploded and I've forged some of the deepest friendships in this group. So come and join Brandy and everyone else in the Suburban Witches Society, meet your new witchy best friend, and get a little bit closer access to yours truly as well. I hope to see you there.